Hello, I'm Colleen Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association Insights podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Association Insights podcast. I'm your host, Megan Henning. Today I'm joined by Cindy Simpson, a seasoned association leader with expertise across membership, business development, operations, and meeting planning. Cindy brings a well-rounded perspective to our conversation, shaped by years of hands-on experience in the industry. In addition to her leadership roles, she's a respected voice on topics like mentoring, work-life integration, and implicit bias, having delivered numerous workshops and co-authored several publications on these important issues. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you, Megan. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, so let's start with the big picture. Can you share a bit about the Urgent Care Association's mission, who you serve, how it fits into UCA's role in shaping the future of on-demand, consumer-focused healthcare?
Sure. So UCA, we have been around for 20 years. It's our 20th anniversary, and we exist to ensure the advancement and long-term success of urgent care. And that's very important because many communities count on urgent care's easy access and quality. So that's the focus and the mission of UCA as it relates to patients and the healthcare continuum.
That's great. Your role bridges business development and relationship building. How do you approach partnerships and sponsorships, not just as a revenue stream, but as a strategic way to advance UCA's mission and deeper member value?
Sure. So UCA actually is made up of 5 different entities, and we are just now finalizing those and what they all focus on. We also have, as of Monday, a brand new CEO. So we are excited about the opportunities that brings for this new person to come on board. What I do as it relates to business development and relationship building is, first of all, I listen a lot. When I call and have meetings scheduled with companies, which I do before we even proceed, I will ask them what their goals and objectives are, what their products and services are, how they see themselves fitting in to urgent care as a field of medicine. And then based on what they tell me, I will then have a conversation with them about opportunities for them to engage with our members.
I think that's great. I spoke to people on the podcast and about this topic, about business development, and everyone has said that listening really is the main point. And I love that you are asking, what are your goals and objectives? So that it's not, we would just like our logo here, right? Which is, I've spent a lot of time in associations, but on the communication side, and sometimes that's what I would think, not what is the long-term goal and what's your goals and how can we both work together. So I feel like that's an important piece. You've built and nurtured a network of over 100 corporate partners, which I think is amazing. So what's your philosophy for cultivating these long-term partnerships, and how do you ensure those partnerships are about more than just money?
So first of all, I think that it's very important to understand that companies are not to be viewed as a piggy bank. And that's a change in philosophy from days gone by where companies would just write blank checks for whatever it was you needed. Those days are long gone as far as I'm concerned. And so when you're talking about building relationships and partnerships, it's really important to build trust, first of all. So if a company approaches me and they believe that urgent care is a market that they want to pursue, although they've never had any dealings with any urgent care centers, I will do a lot more probing, and I will be honest with them if I don't feel it's a fit, or I will let them know that I'll reach out to our members to do a little bit of fact finding before I propose anything to them, because the worst thing I want to have happen is to have a company join Urgent Care Association and support our efforts and get nothing out of it in return. That impacts not only my relationship with them, but also the relationship that the organization has overall. Because as people come and go, and maybe it's not a good fit this time, but the next time it might be. So building trust is really important as far as I'm concerned, as it relates to relationships and business development.
Mm-hmm. Is that a hard conversation to have with these potential members?
Sometimes. And what I will say to them is we're very lucky in terms of having chapters that have regional conferences. And I would recommend to them, rather than go all in right now with UCA at a very higher dollar value, why don't you attend or support one of our regional conferences and test drive? And that's worked out very well too, because then they can get more of a feel of opportunities, as well as feedback from those that are in urgent care directly as to whether there's a broader market. So I use that as leverage when I'm talking with these types of companies.
I think that, of course, this is why you have the trust of these partners. That's a great point. We hear a lot about the pressure to grow non-dues revenue. What practical advice would you offer to associations trying to increase revenue in a way that still feels aligned with their values and their members' needs?
I would say that a couple things. First of all, don't push any opportunities until you have a really clear understanding of what the company wants in terms of their values, alignment, and especially the return on investment. Companies nowadays really want to know, what do I get for my money? Rather that be lead generation, visibility, brand awareness, or even on a broader level, thought leadership. So having conversations, asking a lot of questions. And again, I do a lot of meetings. When we start talking about 26 opportunities, which we will do starting in August, my calendar is pretty booked for the rest of the year, because I intentionally want to talk with people so I can get a better understanding, rather than just send out a blind email or, here you go, here's our opportunities for 26, pick something and let me know. So having conversations, I think, is very helpful whenever you can, and especially it's critical with your long-term and your higher dollar corporate sponsors.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if some of our listeners think almost the opposite, right? That you have your long-term sponsors and they're the safe people, right? Versus the newer ones. But I love you mentioning that, no, it's the care of all of them. So I think that's a really important distinction.
It is, because one of the things that I read, and I use this as one of my closings in my emails, is that companies nowadays have lots of associations to choose from. They don't necessarily have to sponsor UCA. I would love for them to sponsor UCA and work with UCA in some form or fashion, but there's other opportunities out there. And so I think that associations have to keep that in mind now, and it's so much easier to find those opportunities as well. So when you're looking at your corporate members and your sponsors, giving them the care and feeding that they need, not only from me, but also from our board or our CEO, that's important as well.
That's a great point. Not just from your department, but the overall associations. That's great. The churn rate at lower sponsorship tiers is a challenge for many associations. And you found success in moving partners up the ladder rather than losing them. So what's your strategy for showing value early and growing the relationship over time?
So one of the things that I've tried to do with a lot of our members is to find out what their areas of expertise are. And especially as it becomes important from the thought leadership standpoint, making them aware of opportunities to get in front of an audience, having them submit proposals to speak at our convention, making them aware of when our regional conferences take place through our chapters so that they can submit session proposals, providing them with opportunities. And then talking with them about the differences. So I know that Bruce Rosenthal is going to kill me when I say this, but we do have the bronze, copper, diamond, platinum levels of corporate membership. And I know he says that's passé. But for our organization, it works because what I do is I leverage that. First of all, as a point of entry. Also, we have various benefits provided, and then I work them through the different benefit levels, again, depending on what they're looking to achieve from their company. And that goes back to those conversations about what are your goals? What are your objectives? What's your return on investment look like? How would you define success? So once I have those answers, and that changes as well over time, so it's important to continue to ask those questions just to make sure that nothing has changed so you're not surprised. It could be in the beginning they're looking for visibility and brand awareness, and then as they become more involved with the organization and urgent care, they're looking to move more into a thought leadership role. So having a good understanding and then helping them to work through the different opportunities that would provide the most return on investment is important. And that's what I do.
I think that sounds like some really smart advice for our listeners. So I like that. Your convention plays a central role in your partner engagement. With your exhibit hall already sold out for the next 2 years, wow, that's amazing. How are you thinking about opportunities to offer visibility and connection and thought leadership year round?
So what I do is we do a lot of surveys with our corporate members, small, not large, because if we bombard them with surveys constantly, they won't respond. We ask 2 or 3 pointed questions, and then we incorporate that feedback into new opportunities. So, for example, in 26 for our convention, we're going to try some new things. We have, in the past, had a solutions theater. It didn't really work in the format that we had it in, so we didn't do it last year. We're going to bring it back for 26, and my colleagues and I are talking about how we can make that both fun and informative. So we are going to do some call outs for companies we're in Chicago, so we're going to want to do an improv session, something that incorporates some education, but in a fun way. Looking at it from that perspective, and then providing them with those opportunities and sharing those opportunities. Also very careful in terms of, who we want to perhaps present at those solutions theaters, because they need to be engaging, and also we'll hold some slots back and we'll fill some of those, and then other slots we'll have open for people to do their presentations about their products and services.
That's great. That's really great. So let's bring it back to your members. In your experience, how do thoughtful sponsorships and partnership strategies translate into more meaningful member experiences, engagement, or outcomes?
So our members have said that they really appreciate the opportunities provided to hear from our corporate members what new products or services are out there, how they can utilize their products and services better. The margins are really thin in urgent care. So if there's a way that they can either increase revenue or reduce expenses, that's important to them. And the other thing, and this is what I tell companies as well, you can attend the convention, and we do have companies that's all they want to do is just attend the convention and exhibit, and that's perfectly fine. I look at those companies as those that sell things to urgent care, and that's great. But also we have companies that want to really position themselves more as a strategic business partner. And for those companies, we have another type of a meeting. We just finished it up actually in Phoenix. It's very much a strategic think tank, thought leadership type of a meeting. Very focused at a higher dollar of value, but companies that attend love it because they're able to really establish relationships with the people that are there. And on the flip side, the members that attend really appreciate it because they're able to hear from our corporate members who are very well versed. These are the individuals who are very well versed in urgent care and know the pain points and are able to make recommendations on whatever topics are being discussed. So that's a great value.
That is great. I think that I remember I spent a lot of my life in associations, and it wasn't until like maybe 10 years ago that people started talking about what's the member experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not something that I grew up with. It was the members came to your event or something, or they didn't. And now I find it to be, as someone who is a member of an association, I find how much better that is, how much better that someone is thinking about how is my experience and what is best for me to know on a 30,000 foot scale when it comes to the conventions and your events. So I really feel like that's like a major change in certainly the right direction to accomplish not only your goals, but the goals of your members.
I agree, Megan, but it's really important, and our learning department does a fabulous job in terms of providing the member experience from the attendee perspective. What's your journey? Here are the different opportunities that you can pursue at the convention. From our side, from the corporate side, we do the same thing in terms of here are the opportunities, rather than the old days where, your exhibit booth personnel would stay in their booth the whole time and not go outside of the hall. We actively encourage our exhibitors to take part in the sessions, go to the different sessions that are available, listen to what the urgent care attendees are saying, understand what their pain points are, what their challenges are, so that you can, and especially if you're new to the industry, it's a wonderful opportunity to get a better education about urgent care overall and to build those networking opportunities, organic relationships. You don't know who you're sitting next to, you strike up a conversation, and you just never know where it's going to lead. So we actively support and encourage our exhibitors to attend the sessions, attend the networking events, take advantage of all of the opportunities that are available to them. And from the attendee standpoint, our learning department does the same thing in terms of maximizing their opportunities so that they can get the most out of the convention.
This has been great. I loved all of your answers. I think your advice and your insight is really great. And I think our listeners will they're able to take something immediately from this. So I think that is great. We wrap up every podcast with a couple fun questions just to let our audience get to know you. So have you gone anywhere fun lately?
So I live in South Carolina, and one of my goals is to visit every state park in South Carolina, and I'm about halfway through, and I just went a month ago to Oconee State Park, which is out in the northwestern part of South Carolina, and did some hiking, and it was just fabulous. We had a cabin, overlooked the lake. It was very relaxing. So I truly enjoy just being able to unplug, get out in nature, and just enjoy the surroundings.
That sounds great. What podcasts are you listening to that you'd recommend to our listeners?
In addition to the Association Insights, I do listen to Radio Free 501c. That's Cecilia Sepp's podcast. She often has interesting folks on, and I appreciate and listen to her podcast. From the standpoint of healthcare, I listen to the Shift Report, which is put on by the Journal of Urgent Care Medicine. They do a lot in terms of urgent care and having speakers on that are relevant to just urgent care overall, which is important for me as being involved with companies to have my pulse on the finger of what's going on. And I would say that's another important point too. No matter where you work, you need to know what's going on in your industry so that you can connect those dots. So I listen to that one, as well as the monthly rounds, which is put on by Hippo Education. Same thing. They do a great job in terms of urgent care.
That's great. Okay. And then what's one place in the U.S. you've never been to, but you're hoping to go to?
Oh, I only have 3 states left to visit in the United States, Oregon and the Dakotas. And I would like to go to the Badlands and Mount Rushmore because I've never seen them. And I wouldn't mind going out to Oregon to the wine country, to sample some of the Pinot Noirs. But I would love to get out to the Dakotas. That would be first off, because it's a little bit closer and more doable, I think. So
that sounds great. And finally, finish the sentence. When you see me looking at my phone, it probably means that I'm...
Okay, this is my dirty secret. I'm probably playing Candy Crush.
It's not a dirty secret. You're the second person we've interviewed that has said that.
I like it. It's fun. They say it's relaxing and all, and it is, but it's fun because it's challenging to me, and there's a little bit of strategy involved. So I do enjoy playing Candy Crush when I can.
That's great. Thank you so much, Cindy. This has been a great call and a great podcast. I really, again, thank you for your expertise and your advice. And I think our listeners are in for a treat with this one.
Thank you so much, Megan. I really appreciated the time and talking with you all. And I look forward to listening to the podcast when it becomes available and being of a help. So thank you very much for providing me with this chance.
That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association Insights Podcast, previously known as the Association 100 Podcast, is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of our newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association? Or do you have some words of wisdom from the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwardupward.com. Be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association insights and inspiration. Thanks for tuning in.